So very good afternoon. Welcome back to Les Sables d'Olonne. It's the calm after the storm. Where in relative speaking, we had 60 to 70 mile an hour winds here yesterday, but it's a much nicer day. It's the second Friday of the race. We're coming up for 2 weeks now. Through the equator last night, Thomas Rion leading through the equator at 9 days and 7 hours to come through the equator. It's a race which is 2 days exactly slower than, he came through in 11 days, 7 hours, 2 days exactly slower than the race record. So in fact, it's the slowest race so far to the equator since 2008 when Loic Perron went through in 12 days. Friday, we're tending to focus on sustainability. That's going to be our theme through the race as much as we can. And so my guest today is Joanna Post. And in fact, to give her full title, Dr. Joanna Post, the Director of Global Ocean Observing Systems from UNESCO. Joanna, how are you today?
Very well, thank you. Pleasure to be here, Andy.
We're looking forward to talking to you in just a few minutes, but last night and today has been all about the equator. The first passage of the equator, as I say, was Thomas Rion, and variously there have been different toasts to King Neptune. There's been rum, beer, chocolate, Sam Goodchild in particular with chocolate, and here is Sam Goodchild and Pip Hare, who as usual has her own ideas.
Hello. So we've just gone across the equator. We're now in the southern hemisphere, and I haven't got any alcohol, and so as an offering to Neptune, I'm going to give him some of my favourite chocolate, some Grenada chocolate, where I grew up in the Caribbean. There's a piece for me, a piece for Neptune, and a piece for the boat. So here we go, a little chocolate button for Neptune. Thanks, Neptune.
I don't normally do sacrifices to Neptune. It's not really my thing, but I quite like the Southern Ocean to go well, so I'm going to hedge my bets. And I'm thinking all these French boats going across the equator, Neptune might be a bit sick of wine and champagne and all things alcoholic, so what have I got that really shows my respect for the ocean? That shows I really, really want this to work. Got a cup of tea and a piece of Grace's date cake, which I will share with the mighty Neptune.
Let's get on.
Here we go! Yes! We are in the Southern Hemisphere! Woo!
Well, there you go, Pip here, slightly different as usual, meaning champagne, rum, chocolate. I think I'm with King Neptune. A cup of tea and a piece of cake, I'm not quite so sure, but that is indeed Pip here coming through the equator. So this morning's leader, as I said, was Thomas Rion, who was he was second through in the last race, about 80 miles behind Alex Thompson at that time. This time there's only 65 miles between the top 10, and they're all racing south to get down to catch up with this low pressure system. We liken it to a train always. You have to get on the right carriage at the right time, and if you miss it, then you're left on the platform. And in this case, the St. Helena High is looking very, very tricky, so it's a race against time. And the cut-off is round about between 10th and 13th place. But we're going to watch that through the weekend. That connection with the low pressure should happen on Sunday. We're going to catch up with Joanna then, starting off this collaboration between the Vendée Globe and UNESCO. What's it all about? Just to explain in simple terms.
So I lead the Global Ocean Observing System, and we've been working with Vendée Globe for a while, but particularly for this race, it's very exciting. 25 skippers have instruments on board that are either going to be deployed, that means thrown off the ships into the ocean to take measurements, or are taking measurements as they go through the water. And these measurements are vital. They collect information such as temperature, such as pressure, such as salinity and currents that really help us deliver that data to global systems that provide us weather forecasting, extreme event forecasting, climate forecasting, understanding of the changes in the ocean that are happening, and all of these sort of physical chemical characteristics that are extremely important and really help provide the information to the skippers about the weather that they're facing as they go ahead.
And how did the collaboration begin? Where did it start?
So our technical arm of the Global Ocean Observing System is Ocean Ops. They're based in Brest in France, and if any of you have ever seen a map of the instruments on the ocean, there's sort of a dots on the map, and they are keeping an eye on all of the floats, all of the buoys, all of the instruments that are going on ships through the water. And the colleagues there have really been working with and the scientists in Global Ocean Observing System have been working with teams such as Vendée Globe for a while now. The Malaysia team, we'll hear from Boris soon, since 2018, to help us take instruments and take measurements in areas of the ocean which are really difficult to access or very, very much under-observed, because of course, with the ocean, you're working with a moving target. Things don't stay where you put them; they float around. So, if we want to take measurements, we need to have a number of instruments in that ocean that really help us deliver to the global systems to understand the changes, the weather patterns, and so on.
So our skippers are performing a very, very valuable service. And out on the ocean just now, Boris Herrmann, one of our ocean advocates, our environmental and sustainability advocates. Boris, how are you today?
Hello, everyone. I'm very well, thank you.
How is your position in the race? How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's a very delicate position, delicate question. We are trailing a little bit behind the front.
I think we've just lost Boris. Maybe.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, we have you, Boris. Carry on.
Yeah, with a low pressure in the South Atlantic in the next week, propelling the fleet to Cape Town, and the question is whether or not I can stick to them and stick to this low pressure. So every mile counts at the moment, and it is a question of probably 50 miles more or less to make it or not to make it into this system as it looks at the moment.
So nervous times for you, Boris?
Well, I remain composed because there's only so much I can do, and actually I enjoy today trimming my boat to the best. We have beautiful conditions, blue sea, trade wind conditions here, and the boat is foiling at average of 20 knots. So it's enjoyable, and if I miss a low, then so it is, and that will calm down my racing a lot, will take away pressure and tension, because I would likely then be in a 500 to 1,000 mile deficit behind the front pack, and then the destiny will tell what happens with the rest of the race.
Boris, on Fridays we're focusing on sustainability and environmental responsibility. Tell us a little bit about your programme, what you have on board, and what's your main focus this time from a sustainable point of view.
Yes, as I heard earlier in the conversation, thank you very much for the collaboration since 2018. There were fewer people, drivers, to help us get up to speed with the contributions we were able to do, like we were carrying an ocean pack, an automated lab on board since 2018. It has now done 2 circumnavigations with us and created one of the largest precise CO2 surface measurement sets of the Southern Ocean, because there's just so many boats going through the Southern Ocean. And we have deployed a number of buoys, instruments, cargo floats, and drifter buoys over the years. It must be more than 20 by now. And this all has been connected with school educational programs where schools sometimes sign on these floats, students as well, and follow the positions of these instruments in their geography classes. So it's a great way to do a small contribution to science, but also to make people think and speak about the ocean and its importance for the future of the planet and the protection in terms of climate change, as the observations reveal the impact of climate change on the ocean.
Boris, if there was one thing, one behaviour you could have Vendée Globe change, or Vendée Globe fans change, what would that be in terms of a behaviour or decisions they make every day?
A behaviour of a fan. Did I understand correctly?
Sorry, I'm just asking, what if there was one decision, one behaviour, one thing that people could do every day to change and improve environmental responsibility, what would it be?
Yeah, I think see it with curiosity, the things how they are connected, throw overboard prejudice and bad emotions, because that doesn't help, and try to create positive impact in your daily life, especially in the work life, in companies, and in the context is probably where we have the most impact on environmental and climate questions, and everyone can influence their environment and do something. I think that's the mindset that I would suggest and appreciate, rather than feeling guilty about the own footprint, or feeling bad about the whole topic because it's reducing the personal freedom, which is not really a productive thought.
Fantastic, Boris. Joanna, a word with Boris.
Hi, Boris. Good to see you again. My colleague Emanuela asked the skipper she was talking to earlier today in the French show, and I'll ask you the same thing. What is your personal motivation to be involved with us? And we greatly appreciate all of your championing of supporting science as you take this huge challenge around the world and many times. So what's your personal motivation?
Yeah, thank you for the question. My personal motivation is partly curiosity. I find it highly fascinating to hear from scientists the role the ocean plays for our planet. I wasn't aware of that. Although I was sailing on the ocean my entire life, I wasn't aware that the oceans are really the fundamental life support system and the air conditioning system. They create the oxygen, they absorb most of the CO2. So this fantastic role of the oceans just came to my mind over the years of collaboration with scientists, and I find it highly fascinating. Also seeing what they do with our data, that they find new fundamental insights in how, for example, low pressures in the North Atlantic swirl up CO2 from the surface of the ocean. We could provide a data set from a low pressure last year, where those theories haven't been made up, and also I hope this can give a broader meaning to the endeavor of my personal Vendée Globe. We are, of course, we are sportsmen. We want to compete. We want to do well in the race. We want to inspire people around broad topics of kind of freedom and the ocean, but also really sensitize the broader public about what the ocean means for our future.
Boris, thank you so much. It's great to hear your message, and sail fast, and hopefully you can connect with your low pressure and get going down into the south. Great to see you. Have a great Friday, Boris.
Thank you. Have a good Friday too. Ciao. Bye-bye.
So there we go, Joanna. Boris looking to have a broader meaning to his sailing programme and inspire people. What are the actual mechanisms that we have on board that the sailors are deploying?
So there's a number of instruments that the sailors are deploying. But let me first sort of close the loop a little bit on what Boris was saying, because it's really exciting that he's collecting data. The personal ambition, I think, which is for many of us working on and in the ocean, is really for everybody to recognize that the ocean is 70% of the planet, of the surface of the planet, not even talking about what goes underneath, as you see in this diagram behind me, you know, the wildlife, the physics, the
Sorry, I think we have lost Joanna. Hopefully we'll get her back in just a few seconds. But let's look at the weather situation just now as of this morning and looking ahead down to this low pressure off Cabo Frio that's so important. And so Friday's weather, the leaders in the southeasterly trades has had east-southeasterly breeze just now, and this is the leaders here. We'll see as they come down towards the Brazilian coast, the wind is swinging around, so it's lifting them as they go, and that could play a little bit in terms of the strategy, whether to be in the west or the east. So that's the situation just now. There's the boats coming out of the doldrums up here, and as I say, coming into the southeasterly trades. Then looking at the animation, we can see Jean Le Camera, the boat in the furthest to the east. We're trying to hook into this low pressure system, which is down here. You can just see it generating. Now they should be down there on Sunday. We're seeing the cutoff maybe between 12th, 10th and 13th, something like that. And here is the low pressure building here. And the key thing is to get in front of it, and the flatter water and the faster speeds are possible then. So that is the kind of date with this low pressure that we're looking at, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. And then a fast passage down towards South Africa. So for the leaders, at least a fascinating weekend in prospect through Saturday and Sunday. Now then, Thomas Riong, as he said, through the Equator first. Charlie Dallin's overtaken in the early morning, a little bit quicker. And Thomas Riong had a small problem, as he told us this morning.
Un petit souci de ligue de V1 J3, alors que j'étais sous voile de tête, donc j'ai dû abattre, changer de voile, régler le problème, tout ça un peu arrêté. Et là, c'est bon, je suis reparti. Depuis 2-3 heures, là, j'ai pas été très rapide. L'idée, c'est il y a une petite dépression qui se creuse là juste au sud de l'anticyclone de Sainte-Hélène, et donc on va essayer d'attraper ça, et ça va nous emmener au moins jusqu'au cap de Bonne-Espérance, voilà, si on arrive à tenir le rythme. Voilà, donc normalement on devrait prendre tous le même wagon, je pense. Voilà, donc c'est une entrée dans les mers du Sud qui devrait être pas trop mal au final, hein. On devrait avoir de la mer assez plate avec du vent, un vent un peu soutenu au portant. Donc voilà, c'est ça qu'on va chercher. En attendant, effectivement, on passe les îles de Fernando de Noronha, et j'aime bien passer par là. Là, tu vois, déjà en ce moment, je commence à avoir pas mal d'oiseaux, et tu vois, on n'en a pas eu beaucoup là depuis le départ. Et là, on sent qu'on se rapproche, qu'il y a des terres pas loin là.
So Thomas Riong talking about passing Fernando de Noronha, beautiful area for wildlife and a conservation area, I believe. Joanna, sorry, we did lose you there. You were just explaining about the big picture, how important the work that the Skippers is doing is.
Yes, apologies, I lost connection. Yes, so the skippers are deploying instruments. That includes the buoys. You saw the video of Boris throwing one in the float. That sort of drags through the currents in the ocean, collecting information about atmospheric pressure. It's one of the few instruments that can collect atmospheric pressure. You can't get that information from satellites, as well as temperature, as well as the currents. And there's also colleagues deploying Argo floats, and these are floats that look a little bit like torpedoes facing downwards, and they dip to 2,000 meters depth to take measurements of temperature and of salinity. And then other skippers have what Boris referred to as these mini oceanographic labs on board, which take information about temperature, salinity, and carbon. And carbon dioxide is very important because 30% of the carbon dioxide that's emitted due to anthropogenic emissions is being absorbed by the ocean. And that's really impacting the acidity, which is going down, which in turn impacts the wildlife and corals. Everyone has heard about the impact of acidity on corals, but it's also these measurements around temperature are also extremely important because a lot of the energy released by emissions by global warming is being absorbed. 90% of the energy produced by emissions is being absorbed by the ocean. So the ocean is being a big mitigator, but it's also suffering very much from climate change.
And where do we see this going in the future? This is a collaboration which is just at the beginning.
It is absolutely just at the beginning, and we're extremely grateful for this collaboration with Vendée Globe. 25 skippers, as I mentioned, have instruments on board or are deploying instruments for us. We hope very much next time around that we can convince all the skippers to be part of the Global Ocean Observing System work. We also are building collaboration. Obviously, deploying instruments costs money, and so that is extremely an important factor here. But some of the information that we want to collect, not just around pressure and temperature, which provides information about weather and forecasting, we hope very much to develop that collaboration to include further instrumentation that will collect information around carbon and other really specific details that will help us understand climate change and the changes due to climate change.
As soon as these instruments are deployed, you start getting the data immediately. So it's straight to good work.
It's an absolutely direct, as soon as the instrument is deployed, or as the instrument is on board, for those that have the labs, that data is transmitted directly. It's received by various centers or research organizations around the world. In the example of forecasting, you refer very much to the weather conditions as the ships go around the globe. So that information that the skippers are getting directly from these instruments that they deploy. So it's directly helping them and helping understand the weather conditions. And the more observation we have, and there isn't enough, and it's a very fragile system, so we want to strengthen it and expand it, then the better information you have in terms of forecasting of extreme events, and improving safety, both with lives on sea and on land.
I'll come back to you in just 1 second, Joanna, but let's look at the ranking as at midday midday today with Charlie Dallin on top. And the standings at midday French time this morning, Thomas Rion is dropped to second. Charlie Dallin has been in the lead since the 7 o'clock standings this morning. There's only 12 miles in it. Sam Goodchild in third place just now, 16 miles behind the leader, but 19 miles ahead of Sebastian Simon in fourth. Nico Lundven fifth, Johan Richomme sixth, Justine Metro from Switzerland in seventh, Yannick Bestev in eighth, Jeremy Bayou ninth, and Paul Mea in 10th. Paul is a little bit of distance now ahead of Sam Davis, who's now in 11th. Pip here had a really good night and into yesterday. She's up to 13th, but still a little bit behind Sam and Clarice Kramer. Boris Herrmann moving up a little bit, but still 150 miles behind in 14th. Looking now at the internationals, Franco-German Isabel Joschk in 20th. A little bit further down the table, Kojiro Shiraishi in 29th at 432 miles behind the leader. Konrad Kollmann in 30th, about the same distance behind the leader. Giancarlo Padotti, 442 miles behind in 31st. Alan Rura from Switzerland, 32nd. Switzerland's Oliver Heer in 36th, Denis van Weenberg, who we spoke to today, in 37th and having really enjoying his race. Yun Kun Chu from China is 719 miles behind, and things starting to go a little bit better for Chabolis Uweores. Shabby is coming into the trade winds just now, and he's now at 1,380 miles behind the leader, but Charlie Dallin on top. And indeed, things going quite well for Denis van Weenberg, a sailing instructor, journalist, businessman, turned adventurer and Vendée Globe sailor, and he's in great form today in relatively light winds and really enjoying his Vendée Globe.
Everything is okay on board. The boat is okay, the skipper is okay. I have a good night, and it's quite chill for the moment. I hope they can be chill like this for all around the world, but I know that it will not look like this. But for the moment, it's really cool. We have some speed, some wind, sun. Everything is okay. The boat is ready to go in the south, and that's the more important.
Looks like you're in Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, it is. It is. There is no Le Sénéquier, there is no all the people and all the bimbo from Saint-Tropez, but it is a little bit like this. Just I need a pina colada, but I haven't on board. That 5 days ago we make sound and we have speed, we have wind, we have sun. It's really okay. I make something little thing on the boat to be ready after the Equator, after the doldrum to go to the south. Everything is okay. I have good rest. I have pleasure. I have fun. Everything is very for me. It's real pleasure, and I have a lot of chance to be there. It's second week. End of second week, we go to start the third week. It's amazing for me. Everything every day. I like him in a dream, like a teenager, and I said, okay, I make the Vendée Globe. It's like in a dream.
What's the menu weather-wise today?
It's really quiet for the moment. I have between 10 and 15 knots. Makes out, and my speed is good, and everything is good. Really, for the moment, it's a little bit la croisière s'amuse, like we said in French, but we know that after the Equator and after Saint-Hélène, it will be another challenge, another goal. The goal will be to go to South Africa and then to Australia to be safe and to have some speed and to have some fun.
He's quite a character, is our Denis Van Verberg. He's 57, as he was a journalist, a businessman, and he's living his dream at the moment and looking forward to getting down into the south for the first time. Joanna, before you go, just give us an idea of the data that you collect. Will we be able to see that in some kind of form at some stage in the future?
Well, you see it directly when you show the weather fronts, as you're showing on Vendée TV, the low pressure front that you're talking about, the high pressure fronts, all of the weather systems. That is actually based off of data that is being collected. So you see it instantly. That is there. And what I want to say is that these instruments are extremely important for feeding into these weather forecasting, for feeding into extreme event forecasting as well, and to optimize the shipping routes and the routes of these sailors on Vendée Globe.
Indeed, that's excellent work. Good to speak with you. Hopefully you'll join us at some point through the race, and keep watching the race, and thank you. Have a great weekend.
Happy to do so, and good luck to all of the sailors.
So there we go, Joanna Post from UNESCO. That's the end of our show for today. We'll be with you tomorrow at the same time, same place, with Miranda Merrin, the Vendée Globe skipper from the last edition, and she'll be with us live from England. We'll see you then.